y'all, glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about pantry mixes, give you some tips, some tricks. So here's what we're going to do today. I want to show you a mix, tell you how to make a mix that I think should be a staple in everyone's pantry. That's my opinion, but this is a very common mix that's purchased. And I want to show you how to make it at home without preservatives and all the junky yunk. Then I want to show you how to make your own homemade Jiffy mix. Now in North America, well, in the United States at least, it's called Jiffy mix. But some of our friends down under, I did a recipe about it and mentioned it, and they weren't familiar with it. So I want to give you a substitute how you can make your own, those little boxes of corn muffin mix at home. And then we'll talk a little bit about that. And then, toward the end of the video, the third segment is going to be talking about whipped topping and all the options with whipped topping and whipped cream. So I hope you'll stay with me. Hey y'all, I'm Miss Katie. Welcome to Heritage Ways, where we honor home, celebrate heritage, and spread hope. This week is the second in a series, a collaboration that I'm doing with some precious ladies who are so knowledgeable, and I know you're going to want to watch all of their videos. Make sure you check out last Saturday's videos. Everything's going to be in a playlist down below. So I'm going to be adding those as we go along to the playlist down below in the description box. So the collaboration is pantry mixes, things you can have in your pantry made with ingredients that are not foreign to us. Just putting it all together in the right way allows us to be able to just go to our pantries and mix and go. And that's the name of the collaboration, Mix and Go Pantry Mixes. So the collaboration is with Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. It's with Lori from Whippoorwill Holler. It's with Tammy from Little Jordan Farm, and Miss Vicky from Vicky's Country Home, and myself. So I hope you will check out all those videos that are come out today and that are in the collaboration, and then check out next week's videos for the third in the series of this collaboration. All right, today I'm going to make homemade chili seasoning mix. Now, that's going to be the first. I've got 3 little segments here for you, 3 different things to teach you. So that's going to be the first. I do know that one of the other ladies is going to do a chili powder mix. But I think that's okay that we have more than one of these in the collaboration, because they're going to be different. And you can pick which one you like or tweak each one however you like it. I know one of the ladies' powder chili mix has an ingredient that mine doesn't. So you can just try them all and decide which one you like the best. This is one that I feel like, you know, it is a staple in my pantry. And even in the home where I live now, which is much, much smaller than the other homes and the 2 farms and the city houses and the apartments and the duplexes where we've lived in our 30 years of marriage, 31 almost. Okay, so today I'm just going to show you, and I'm also going to write the recipe down below in the description box. And one of these days I'm going to get it on my website too. Do you know that you can go to heritageways.com, and I have all kinds of recipes. I've got menu ideas, and I've got things about our family. I've got a lot there. I've got a country store where you can buy the kids hot pads. I've just got a lot of stuff on that website, and I'll be adding as I go along and have time. All right, this recipe today comes out of my cookbook. I'm going to give you the recipe, but also if you have the cookbook, then you already have the recipe. I've got a whole section of seasoning mixes in the cookbook. You can write this recipe down as we go along, or you can just see the description box. All right, chili seasoning mix. And I'm going to tell you one thing that I think you can do with this besides chili. So 3½ cups of minced dried onions. And I've talked to you in the past in a couple of videos about how I get my herbs and things. So 2 cups of chili powder. I think I might be a little scant on chili powder today. I'm not, there we go. Okay, let's move that so maybe you can see a little better. That's a half a cup. Whoopsie. 1 cup. I don't get all torn up about exact measurements when I'm cooking in my own kitchen for my family. Okay, this is a half, that's 1.5 cups right there. And then I'll go back after the video and I'll add the other half a cup because I've got more in my pantry. Alright, and then 2/3 cup of flour or the equivalent. Now, a lot of people these days are avoiding flour. I do use all-purpose, unbleached for everything, organic if I can find it. I used to grind my own in my farmhouse, and I will again when we settle down, Lord willing, in the next year, I hope, or less. So anyway, those people who are avoiding wheat flour, you can use your equivalent. Now, you're better to know that than I am if you're gluten-free or whatever, but I would think that you could use, I don't know, y'all let me know down below. Can you use almond flour, coconut flour? What do you use to thicken? Do you use arrowroot? What do you use to thicken when you're gluten-free? Cornstarch, I'm not even sure what's suitable for that lifestyle of eating. But 2/3 cup of flour or the equivalent thickener, a half a cup of sugar, and I use pure organic cane sugar. You can leave this out if you need to, but okay. I'll buy that at Aldi or Kroger, whatever grocery stores I'm near. It's easy to find. Half a cup of healthy salt. Now remember, this is making a lot, so don't freak out about the half a cup business. Because I mean, this is making 2 dry quarts. 2 dry quarts. I'm spooning in right here half a cup. Alright. This is Redmond's real salt, which I do buy in bulk food place. Okay. Half a cup of dried minced garlic. That's a scant, but you'll use half a cup of dry minced garlic. Okay, we're getting there. 4 teaspoons of cumin. I love the smell of that. It's just so fresh. I like to keep my spices in jars that are labeled. I love that Constance, did you notice, I know you watched her video last week, the intro video where she talked about the jars. I loved that segment where she talked about keeping her food in jars and how she had the damage in the kitchen, but the food wasn't damaged because it had been in jars, and also it keeps the critters and the mice and the whatevers out of your spices. So I loved the way she talked about that. This is 3 tablespoons of oregano. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of red pepper flakes. I prefer to dry my own, have my own from my garden, and I think we've got an old video about that actually, but I don't have those available right now. And the last thing here is 1 tablespoon of ground cloves. Ground cloves. Okay, and that's it. So you'll just mix it up and put it in your jar that's labeled, and there you go. How much do you use? Well, I wrote in my cookbook here, you use about 1/3 cup in a pot of chili. Now, that's going to be, if you're serving, I'd say 5 or so people, so a small pot of chili. If you've got a big stock, if you've got a big, I was looking for my pot, but if you've got a really big pot, say you're making this much chili, I'd probably use probably a cup of the mix. But the standard is 1/3 cup in, you know, chili that would feed 4 to 6 people. And I wanted to show you that I've often bagged these up and given them as gifts. So that's what I did. I put one, it says from the Heritage Ways Kitchen, chili seasoning mix, recipe found in From Katie's Kitchen Cookbook, contains 1 dry cup. And so I've often bagged that up and given that as gifts too. It's great to have. Okay, well that's it. That's the mix. One more tip I want to tell you before we go on to the next segment about the muffin mix. And what I do to know whether, you know, when you pull a mix out, if you're not, if you haven't used the same recipe over and over and over and over and over, and you don't know it for sure. There's been some mixes in the past. I pulled it out and I was like, wait, did I put salt in this mix or not? I don't remember. So I've started making a note. You can write it on your jar, has salt, doesn't have salt. And that way when you go to make your, whatever you're making with your mix, whatever mix it is, you'll know whether you need to add salt or not. At my last farmhouse, what I did was inside cabinet, I had all kinds of notes, recipes, children's art, all kinds of things on the outside and the inside of my cabinets doors. I love that. And so on the inside it would have Greek seasoning, no salt, or hamburger seasoning, has salt. And that way I just open the door and go, okay, that didn't have any, so I would add salt. So if that helps. All right, in the next segment I'm going to show you that corn muffin mix, but what you can do instead of just using this for chili mix, you can make like a chili mac, like a really thick chili, maybe even add corn, maybe add pasta to it to thicken it up and make it more of a casserole type thickness. Then you could make the muffin mix that I'm about to show you how to make as a cornbread and pour that over the top and then bake it. And then you have like a baked chili mac, or whatever you want to call it. Almost like a tamale pie, but not really. Collaboration. Now let's talk about a muffin mix that you can have in your pantry. We want to tell you we're coming from Miss Lori's kitchen. Little Miss Homemaker and I are in the kitchen of Miss Lori from Whippoorwill Holler. Miss Lori is at work, and she let us come in here and take over the kitchen, so we're cooking supper for her. But tonight I want to tell you a shortcut for making Jiffy corn muffin mix. Now this segment is specifically for our friends down under who've requested this segment. We have this Jiffy corn muffin mix here in the United States, and it's just it's a convenience food, and I use this in my corn casserole that I have a video here on YouTube. Now in my cookbook, that same casserole is called scalloped corn, because that's what my grandma called it. So not to be confusing, the corn casserole on here is the same as the scalloped corn in the cookbook. So just for today, I'm not going to make the corn muffin recipe that's in my cookbook. I'll save that for you guys to look at when you get your cookbook. We're going to tell you how to make a substitute for this so that you can make the other recipes that I have that call for this Jiffy corn mix. All right, we have 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Look at the way Miss Lori has her containers. I love this. Such a blessing that she lets us use her kitchen. Here, she's already got a scoop in here. All right, I love to use containers, old containers for things. I also used cups in my sugar and flour, didn't I? Old antique cups like this. That was awesome. So for the substitution, we have 1 cup of plain cornmeal. We have 1 cup of all-purpose flour. We have 3 tablespoons of sugar of your choice. You can use pure cane sugar or just the white sugar. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. That's pretty. That is pretty. You want to screw that back on? Teaspoon of salt. So remember, 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. So that is it. We've got the flour, the cornmeal, sugar, baking powder, and salt. And that's what we have for our substitute. Now, I'm not going to claim it's identical to the Jiffy corn muffin mix, but it will do the job. It will do the job just fine. Now, this package is 8.5 ounces. I don't know what that would equate to down under or in other countries, but this is 8.5 ounces. So what I recommend doing is you measure out the equivalent of 8.5 ounces. Actually, you could make this up and store it in bulk. You can double or triple store this and just label corn muffin mix, and then measure out the equivalent of 8.5 ounces to use in a recipe that calls for Jiffy corn muffin mix. Hope you enjoy this tip and you can use it in your own kitchen. Another cooking substitution for our friends, if a recipe calls for whipped topping, Cool Whip, whipped cream, any of those, you have a couple of options depending on what's available in your area or in your country. So we have whipping cream. Can you grab a... All right. This is just heavy whipping cream. This is the cream that rises to the top of, if you have raw milk and it's not homogenized. Homogenized means it's been chemically, or it's been rather processed, rather, so that the fats are incorporated into all the milk and suspended through the whole milk product. So if you have raw milk that has not been homogenized, that means that, or cow's milk, that means that you could set it on the counter or whatever in the refrigerator, set it anywhere, and after a certain amount of time, hours, days, the cream will rise to the top. Now, as a side note, goat milk is naturally homogenized, so you can't get cream from goat's milk. All right, so...
Well, and on the raw milk, where you can see a definite line where the cream is separated from the milk.
Right. And some countries, some states, they have different regulations for buying raw milk and getting raw milk. But if you have your own cow, or if you live in an area where you have that accessible or what have you, so raw milk is what I prefer to use. Do your own research on that, please, but that's what we prefer to use for its health benefits. A lot of times we are not in an area where we can get raw milk. So that's what whipping cream or heavy cream is. It's the raw, not raw, it's the milk, it's the cream that has risen to the top. And now obviously when you buy this in the store, this is not just that. This has got a couple of preservatives and ingredients I would prefer not to consume. But this is what we have at the store. By the way, half and half. You can't whip half and half. You can whip heavy whipping cream. And I'll tell you how to do that in a second. Half and half is half cream, half milk. So it will not whip. You can't whip milk. All right. Couple of options. I'm going to tell you 2 or 3 options on making the whipped topping mix. So you can just put the heavy whipping cream in the mixer and whip it until soft peaks form. Look, well, it's been sitting here a second. If we had just whipped it, it would not slide out of the bowl. But anyway, basically, till soft peaks form. Okay? If you keep whipping, what happens?
It turns into butter.
Right, and that's another conversation for another day. But just until soft peaks form, and that is whipped topping. Now, I have found that this will deflate easier than some other products. You do have your Cool Whip option, your frozen dairy, I think it's called non-dairy whipped topping or whatever, in your frozen section. So you have that option. Then you also have this option. This is a whipped topping mix. It is not necessarily made from healthy ingredients, so just know that. I'm just giving this to you as an option that you can use, and especially if you're trying to stock a pantry, and especially perhaps if you're a homesteader or on the prepping mindset, then I would recommend having this, because this is not a bad product to have in your arsenal. It is sugar and some other, ingredients that are not as desirable or healthy as your raw cream option. We used this the other day, and we were happy with the volume of this. You want to tell the difference between this and then the whipping this cream?
Well, this one here, as you whipped it and you mix it equal parts this mix with either milk or water.
Cold.
Okay, and we used water, and it whipped up the volume. It was very fluffy and had a lot more volume than you do when you do the whipping cream, because I've been sitting here whipping cream to make the whip topping, and it doesn't seem to have as much volume as this does.
Okay, so that's 3 options of your whipped topping or whipped cream. And like I said, if you don't always have this, maybe you have this in your back pocket. Not literally. Alright, hope that helps y'all. Thanks for watching today, y'all, and I hope you'll enjoy this collaboration. I hope you'll hit subscribe to Heritage Ways if you haven't already, and click the bell, tap on the little bell so you get notifications. We're happy to have you here and glad to have you walk in life with us. We have a website, as I've already mentioned, heritageways.com. We are on Pinterest and Instagram, and I just am so glad that you have chosen to be with us today. Y'all have been so kind in your comments. We'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.